The movie begins on a normal school day as a loving father named Zach drives his young son Mandla home through the busy streets of Johannesburg. While they sit in traffic, Zach notices that Mandla seems upset. After some gentle questioning, Mandla admits that several boys at school have been bullying him and stealing his lunch. Zach encourages his son to stand up for himself and asks whether he has told his coach about the problem. Mandla explains that the coach simply told him to stop crying. Although Zach is frustrated, he promises that he will handle the situation and protect his son. As father and son continue their drive, their peaceful conversation is suddenly interrupted by gunfire. A group of armed criminals ambushes another vehicle nearby. Panic spreads through the traffic as terrified drivers and passengers try to understand what is happening. Zach immediately focuses on protecting Mandla, reassuring him that everything will be okay even though the danger is only a few feet away. The criminals violently drag people from their vehicle while Mandla watches the terrifying scene unfold. Although the attackers eventually leave, the traumatic experience leaves both father and son deeply shaken. The story then shifts to a dangerous criminal named Easy who controls a large scrapyard operation. One of his employees has secretly shared information about his activities with a rival gang leader. The worker desperately begs for forgiveness, claiming he only needed money and never intended to put anyone in danger. Easy appears calm and even pretends to forgive him. He tells the man that he has a new position waiting for him and points toward the top of a wrecked vehicle. Relieved, the employee thanks him repeatedly. However, the moment he lets his guard down, Easy pulls out a gun and executes him without hesitation. The shocking murder immediately establishes Easy as a ruthless and merciless crime boss. Later that evening, Zach and his wife Portia discuss the shooting incident while Mandla eats dinner. Mandla innocently describes what happened earlier that day, forcing Portia to realize how close her family came to tragedy. Zach explains that the attackers acted with unusual confidence and seemed completely unconcerned about witnesses or police. The incident leaves him deeply unsettled. Despite everything that has happened, Zach tries to maintain a sense of normalcy. He spends time joking with friends and running his successful burger business. The scenes reveal that Zach is hardworking, respected, and deeply connected to his community. Unlike the criminals operating around him, he has built his life through honest work. His employees admire him and many people depend on him. At Easy's scrapyard, daily operations continue as usual. Workers move vehicles, sort scrap metal, and transport materials. One employee named Quainley, often called Kerwaz, is assigned to learn how to drive one of the trucks. Although he is inexperienced, his co-workers encourage him as he struggles to control the vehicle. The atmosphere seems ordinary on the surface, but beneath it lies the constant presence of criminal activity and intimidation. Meanwhile, Zach decides to confront the bullying problem at Mandla's school. When he discovers that the school staff have failed to protect his son, he becomes furious. He directly confronts the boys responsible and warns them that if they ever touch Mandla again, he will involve the police. He also criticizes the school administration for dismissing the bullying and allowing it to continue. Although Zach's approach is aggressive, it comes from his determination to defend his child. After leaving the school, Zach and Mandla appear happier. Mandla even offers half of his sandwich to his father, showing the close bond they share. For a brief moment, it seems as though life is returning to normal. That peace does not last long. While driving through the city, Zach witnesses a taxi driver recklessly running a red light. Unable to ignore what he sees, he confronts the driver. What begins as a simple argument quickly escalates into a heated confrontation. The driver and several passengers become aggressive and tensions rise in front of a growing crowd. Mandla remains inside the vehicle, terrified as he watches his father argue with strangers. He repeatedly begs Zach not to get involved, but Zach refuses to back down. He believes that people should be held accountable for dangerous behavior and insists on confronting the driver about putting lives at risk. The argument becomes increasingly hostile. Insults are exchanged, tempers flare, and more people gather around the scene. Some try to calm the situation, but others encourage the conflict. Among the group is a violent man carrying a firearm. As emotions spiral out of control, the confrontation suddenly turns deadly. A gunshot rings out. Chaos erupts instantly. People scream and scatter in every direction. In the confusion, Mandla becomes an innocent victim. The young boy collapses after being struck during the violent encounter. His father rushes toward him in horror, desperately calling his name while trying to understand what has happened. The emotional impact is devastating. Portia arrives and finds her family shattered. Mandla is rushed to the hospital where doctors fight to save his life. Zach blames himself for the tragedy, knowing that his decision to confront the reckless driver set the events into motion. Meanwhile, the men responsible flee the scene. Instead of showing remorse, they justify their actions and attempt to convince themselves that they did nothing wrong. The shooter claims he was merely defending himself, refusing to accept responsibility for the innocent child now fighting for survival. As Mandla lies unconscious in intensive care, investigators begin searching for the people involved. Police quickly identify the taxi and arrest Quainley, one of the men present during the confrontation. During questioning, detectives pressure him to reveal the identity of the gunman. However, terrified of the criminal world around him, Quainley refuses to cooperate. He repeatedly claims that he does not know the shooter, despite evidence suggesting otherwise. At the hospital, Zach faces another devastating problem. While desperately trying to save his son, he learns that his medical insurance has unexpectedly lapsed because of payment issues. Hospital administrators inform him that a large amount of money is required immediately if Mandla is to continue receiving private medical treatment. Furious and desperate, Zach scrambles to gather the funds while struggling to remain focused on his son's survival. The investigation continues as detectives dig deeper into the shooting. They learn more about Zach's background and discover that he is a respected businessman with no connection to criminal activity. This makes the attack even more tragic because an innocent family has been caught in the middle of senseless violence. Eventually, police organize an identification lineup and invite Zach to participate. Carefully examining the suspects, he suddenly recognizes one of the men involved in the attack. The memory of that terrible day comes flooding back. With absolute certainty, Zach points directly at the suspect and identifies him as the person who assaulted him during the confrontation. However, instead of immediately making an arrest, the detectives explain that legal procedures must be followed. Frustrated and furious, Zach watches as the suspect appears ready to walk free. To him, justice is slipping away right before his eyes while his son remains trapped between life and death in a hospital bed. Zach reaching his breaking point. During the police lineup, he finally spots one of the men responsible for the violent confrontation that led to his son's shooting. Furious that the police seem unwilling to act quickly, he loses control and nearly takes matters into his own hands. Detectives try to calm him down, reminding him that his wife and son need him, but Zach's faith in the system is already disappearing. Then the worst possible news arrives. While doctors desperately work to save Mandla's life, his condition suddenly deteriorates. Medical staff rush into action using defibrillators and every available treatment to restart his heart. Zach and Portia stand helplessly outside praying for a miracle. But despite everyone's efforts, Mandla dies. The loss completely destroys the family. Portia collapses under the weight of grief, replaying memories of her son over and over again. Zach is consumed by guilt. He cannot stop thinking that if he had ignored the reckless taxi driver that day and simply driven away, Mandla would still be alive. As if things could not get any worse, the police reveal another shocking development. The case file containing crucial evidence has disappeared. The documents that could help identify and prosecute the people responsible have apparently been stolen. Zach is horrified. To him, it feels like corruption is protecting the criminals while his son lies dead. Unable to trust the authorities, Zach begins investigating on his own. Using surveillance footage and information he gathers himself, he starts tracking down the men connected to the shooting. His search leads him deeper into the criminal world controlled by the powerful gangster Easy Rampedai and his associates. The criminals quickly realize that Zach is becoming a threat. One day, Zach is kidnapped and taken to an isolated location. The gang members beat him, tie him up, and prepare to execute him. They mock him and remind him that they control the city. According to them, nothing happens without their permission. But they underestimate him. Using determination and sheer survival instinct, Zach manages to escape. During the struggle, one of the gang members is killed. Injured but alive, Zach returns home even more determined than before. He now understands that the people behind his son's death are connected to a much larger criminal organization. Meanwhile, detectives Floyd and Leela continue their investigation. Leela suspects corruption within the system and becomes increasingly frustrated by Floyd's behavior. Unknown to many, Floyd has been secretly working with Easy. He has been helping the gang cover their tracks and obstructing the investigation. As the case progresses, Zach discovers that both the criminals and certain members of law enforcement are working together. This revelation convinces him that justice will never come through official channels. His brother Zuko desperately tries to stop him from seeking revenge. Zuko reminds him that anger has always been his greatest weakness and warns him that revenge will only destroy what remains of his life. But Zach cannot let go. When he demands a gun from Zuko, an argument erupts. During the struggle, the weapon accidentally fires, shooting Zuko. Although the injury is not fatal, the incident shows how far Zach has fallen. His obsession with revenge is now hurting the people closest to him. At home, Portia pleads with him to stop. She reminds him that they have already lost their son and that she cannot bear losing her husband as well. She begs him to trust the police, but Zach no longer believes anyone can help him. Determined to finish what he started, he begins hunting the men responsible one by one. Eventually, he captures Lirumo, one of the gang members directly connected to the shooting. During a brutal confrontation, Lirumo reveals a shocking truth. He claims that the fatal shot was not intentionally aimed at Mandla. According to him, another man named Kurwaz grabbed the gun during the chaos, causing the weapon to discharge. But Lirumo also delivers a painful accusation. He tells Zach that if he had never stepped out of his car that day, none of this would have happened. The words cut deeply because they reflect the guilt Zach has carried ever since Mandla died. Before Lirumo can escape, the police arrive. A tense standoff follows. Detective Leela finally exposes the corruption around the case. It becomes clear that Floyd has been protecting criminals and manipulating evidence. As the confrontation escalates, Floyd's role in the cover-up is exposed and the fragile alliance between police and gangsters begins to collapse. Zach continues his pursuit until he finally reaches Kurwaz, the terrified taxi driver who has been haunted by what happened. Unlike the hardened criminals surrounding him, Kurwaz is overwhelmed by guilt. He repeatedly insists that he never intended to kill anyone. For the first time since Mandla's death, Zach is forced to confront a difficult reality. Revenge will not bring his son back. As he stands face to face with the man connected to the tragedy, memories of Mandla flood his mind. He remembers his son's smile, his kindness, and his innocent dreams. He recalls how Mandla loved dinosaurs, asked endless questions about the world, and once told his teacher that when he grew up he simply wanted to be a good person. Those memories finally break through Zach's rage. Instead of becoming a killer himself, he chooses another path. Rather than executing Kurwaz, Zach lowers his weapon and calls for help. He contacts emergency services and requests an ambulance, proving that despite everything he has suffered, he refuses to lose his humanity. In the aftermath, Zach reflects on the chain of events that destroyed his family. He admits that he should have listened to Portia and stayed inside the car. The guilt remains, but he finally begins accepting that anger and revenge cannot heal his pain. The movie ends on a deeply emotional note. Mandla is gone and nothing can change that. Yet through unimaginable suffering, Zach learns that justice and vengeance are not the same thing. His journey transforms him from a grieving father consumed by rage into a man who finally understands the cost of hatred. As the screen fades to black, the audience is left with a powerful message about grief, responsibility, forgiveness, and the devastating consequences of a single moment of anger. What began as a simple road rage incident ultimately destroyed multiple lives, proving how one reckless decision can trigger a chain reaction that changes everything forever. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.